Okay, letter number 3, the final letter that we have for today. Dear Building Better Leaders, I lead a team that spans 3 generations, from fresh grads to those approaching retirement. It's becoming more and more obvious that our work styles and values are clashing. Our younger team members want flexibility, regular feedback, and to feel that their work is meaningful. Meanwhile, some of our more experienced team members value structure, hierarchy, and staying in their lanes. I get where both sides are coming from, I really do, but I find myself constantly stuck in the middle. I'm trying hard to balance today's work culture while respecting legacy systems and experiences. I want to create an inclusive culture, but when team dynamics feel this divided, morale drops. I'm passionate about bringing people together, but right now it feels like I'm failing both groups. How do I bridge this gap and lead a team that sees the world so differently? Well, over to you because as you mentioned just now, you took care of primary, secondary, as well as pre-U as well. So clearly, there's a lot of different groups and so on. Let's very quickly just start off with some of your pointers or some of your thoughts on this letter writer. Where do we begin?
I think the first part is actually to recognize that these two groups, they have their own unique strengths and perspectives. The experienced staff members, and I think we need to recognize and value that. Yeah. Okay. From my own experience, sometimes it's also necessary as a leader to create, I would say, a safe space where everyone actually will feel that they are being heard, they are being valued. And this is why I always tell my two vice principals, I said that, both groups are actually equally important to the organization, to the school. The experienced staff, they are very practical, very pragmatic, and they can tell you where the loopholes are because they're very experienced. So if you have, you put certain systems or structure, they can tell you this will not work because or this will work because Okay. And for the new staff members, they comes from a space of, the idealistic view of how things should run. And so therefore, they can be very creative and they're very optimistic. And sometimes we need also people who have the optimism and hope to be able to see things differently, because we need to do things sometimes in a different way, especially in current landscape. So if we can bring both teams together to work together, I think that would be so marvelous. It will be like, you can just see fireworks working. But in order for them to come together, we need to create a safe space first.
How would this
So
safe
that
space look like?
the safe space would be that where everybody, this thing about psychological safety, where everyone is being heard and everyone feels that whatever input they give, it is not being, diminished, but instead it is being encouraged and celebrated. So everything they say is important. We accept it. We will think about it, and no one's views is going to be, said that it doesn't work. So what I sometimes do is, when we have brainstorming, I would say, okay, we're not going to evaluate anything. Everything you say is going to go on the board.
Oh.
Nothing is going to be evaluated. We will evaluate it later. But whatever ideas you come, it can be a new idea or it can be something you build upon another person's idea, and you can also build upon this person's and this person's idea. We will put it on the board, and we will not evaluate it yet. We will do it another time. So everybody just give your own idea openly. So in a way, that space is allowing everyone to say things without being judged, without being afraid that they're going to be judged. So every opinion and ideas count, and it matter. So this is what I mean by collaborative meetings. If something that you are not agreeable to, you can say it later, but not during the brainstorming session. And I think that safe space that is created will give everyone feels that belonging and inclusion, that your diverse perspectives actually matters here and it counts. And that diversity that this person talk about is actually celebrated as an asset rather than a divide in a way. Yeah, but it has to be done in a manner that is more conscious than unconscious.
Mm.
You have to deliberately do it instead of, oh, we will try this out. No, it has to be a deliberate, intentional session in a way. Yes, and from there, then we can see what comes out. So I think psychological safety is the foundation first when we have a diverse group such as that. Because everybody will say, "Oh, I'm more experienced than you, and I have gone through this. I have gone through this for 30 years, and it has worked." And the newer members will say, "Oh, but that idea is so old, so
Yeah.
old-fashioned. It's not
Yeah.
going to bring us anywhere. We are in a different landscape." So as a leader, it's how we manage that and say, "Okay, everybody, your thoughts counts, but it's not about uh, disagreeing yet, but let's hear what everybody has, and
Okay. Okay.
just bring it forth, and then from there we'll see what comes up."
What
Yeah.
I like just now, you mentioned about being very deliberate and intentional. So when you run, for example, this brainstorming sessions, were you intentional in also bringing in really the two groups, right? So one would be the experience, and the other one would be
Yeah.
the new group in this case. Is it designed that way to bring both together as well?
um, yes, I actually designed it.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
designed it in such a way that whenever there is a need to form a working committee,
Yeah.
I will, in fact, I wouldn't say instruction, but I would share with the heads of departments. In that working committee, I would like you to have experienced member and new members.
Mm. Mm.
Because like I say, I see the value of both groups.
Mm.
Because sometimes when you have too many creative ideas and may not be practical,
Mm.
it
Mm.
not may not be something that can be that is doable. So we need these other groups as well to come in.
Mm.
And then if you just focus on pragmatic solutions, sometimes we need to think out of the box as well,
Mm.
and we need a fresh perspective on things, whatever
Mm.
challenges we're facing. So I my expectation would be, just ensure that in your team you must have these two groups of people
Mm.
together.
Mm.
Yeah, I would need them, the new ones and also the experienced ones. So it is designed in that way. When we first started, it's designed, and even the sessions are made very intentional and purposeful.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I would like to as you're saying that got me thinking about a few points. Number one would be, I think, um, like what you say. First of all, understand that each generation has its own uniqueness in this case, and those are strength, right? Um, I think it's also to understand that why some people resist or they push back, right? It's because I think ultimately we being as humans, there's this whole thing about self-preservation, because this is
Mm,
what we value, this is what we know has been working, and now there is a possibility that this idea may not work anymore, and I'm afraid that if that happens, then I will be out of a job, or maybe I will not feel relevant in this case. So I rather fight that than to accept change in this case. I think that's
mm,
important to understand, like why people resist. And if you understand that, and to be able to address the elephant in the room, literally during the brainstorming, to say that, hey, we understand that this group here um, is very optimistic, to a certain extent idealistic, but this group here, very experienced. So we understand that, and we also understand that there is some resistance for sure.
yeah.
So I think when you
Mm,
address it that way, to address the elephant in the room, then there's nothing to hide in this case. Everyone knows that, okay, the boss knows, the leaders know what's going on, right? So they shouldn't be
yeah,
afraid about it. That's how we
yeah,
design the safe space. I think it's also important then. Let's say if I'm the facilitator, or I'm like the boss of this meeting in this case, as I address the elephant in the room, I think it's also important then to be able to say, before we start the brainstorming session for this project that we're working on in this case, just would like you to know that this is the outcome that we're looking for, right? I think that is very important, and it's just not like for the sake of just getting two teams together, but to say
yeah,
there is an outcome, there is a bigger mission that we're here to serve.
Yeah.
right? And in order for us to serve this bigger mission, that's why both of you are here in this case, right? Why? Because you represent optimism and you represent experience in this case, right? So how can we design then a solution which has both optimism and also leveraging experience? So when we so-called create such so-called rules in this case, or rules of engagement, say this is what we're looking for, this is the end goal, and this is how what we should be, the expectation is to have a solution which celebrates both sides. How do we do that? Now let's get on the board. There's no stupid ideas. Everyone just throw and see what happens. Then we will decide from there. But you set the boundaries, you set the expectations, what we're looking for, instead of just everywhere in this case, right? So at least you kind of like draw the boundaries. Say this is what we're looking for exactly to celebrate both sides. So I think this is also very designed, very as in very consciously designed into the whole process as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I like that. I like that. I like that you mentioned that about boundaries and all. Um, because I think what is important, yes, there must be a shared objective, and you need to focus on that shared objective, like what we are doing this. So, it is actually when we are doing sessions like this, it is important to also highlight what is the common purpose. All of us have this common purpose, and the common purpose is this. Like you mentioned, mission. What's the mission at the end? We need this particular outcome. The desired outcome of this session is actually A, B, C, or just A and B. So when we have this common purpose, I find that it helps to build some form of respect, cohesion of the team. In a way, I would say we unite the team around a common purpose, because everybody has their own I think the letter writer mentioned different working styles,
Yeah.
different even expectations, and different personalities. Even if you talk about the experienced staff members, they also have different
Yes.
personalities which want to do things in a different way. One is more on let's go collaborative. The other one is, so no, I think I would prefer to work this on my own and think things through. The other one said, let's not just plan too much, let's just do it. So everybody has different personality as well. But I find that what unites a team is the common purpose. And that needs to be intentionally brought up. So like you said, let's address this elephant in the room. Everybody, we are here because of this thing that we're going to work on. How we're going to do it, this is why we are here. The how to is what we don't know. But the why we are here, it's very clear. And this is the objective and the outcome and the purpose that we are here. No matter how we want to do it, at the end of the day, it must serve this particular purpose and this particular outcome. So I think that kind of encourages people to come together, work together, and we want that respect. I think respect, like you say, is earned. Right? It's again, it's a process. It's not something you say, well, you need to respect them and all.
Yeah.
But how do we, as the leader or the facilitator, during that discussion, navigate this whole process? Actually, will speak to them on whether this session is going to be another top down, another sessions of I do it my way, you do it your way kind of thing, or it's going to really bring us all together.
Yeah.
So I think the leader and the facilitator needs to have that same understanding as well. And
I agree.
and if we are able to do that, I think I have seen beautiful beautiful process, and we see beautiful outcome as well.
Wow.
When people understand the common purpose, and actually the discussion can be very robust and rich, because everyone is so different, and we're like, oh, I never thought of that. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, let's put this down, that kind of thing. But whoever facilitates that discussion must be aware of the
Yeah.
outcome and purpose as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that we want to, encourage respect and trust and cohesion. And in that process, whatever that's going to come out of it is what the process will lead us
Okay.
to.
Okay.
So this is something that I want to encourage the letter writer to try at least. One of the points that either Kausern or myself suggest, just try it, because
Yeah.
I think for Kausern you would have already maybe implemented it. For
Yes.
me, I'm speaking from experience. Yes, we have done it. I have done it before,
Right.
and it is a beautiful process.
Nice.
It is going
Nice.
to be a beautiful process. Yes, yeah,
The last thing that I would like before we close is also to for the letter writer to consider. I'm sensing from the letter itself, it feels that this letter writer, I could be wrong, but wants to be able to solve the tension, want to be able to resolve it. But I would like the letter writer to reconsider, to reframe that it's not about resolving tensions, because tensions to a certain extent, not all tension, but to have enough tension is actually a good thing, because
yeah,
it is through that tension innovation comes out, right? Creativity
yes,
comes out. Like I don't know,
yes,
like racket game and so on. If your racket is not tuned to that certain tension, or your guitar is not tuned to a certain tension, it would sound really horrible. So you need to be able to have that kind of like just enough tension to be able to birth out, that kind of innovation where no one really has thought about. So I think the letter writer needs to consider that it's not really about resolving tension, but to reframe the mindset, it's really about being the translator between the generations, right?
yeah,
How do how to
yeah,
how, how to do that? So it's not about like, okay, should we follow this or that? It's not about either or,
mm,
but it's about and, right? How can we leverage? It's
yeah,
about paradoxical thinking. It's about polarity thinking. How can we leverage on both in this
yeah.
case, right?
I have an analogy when you
Yeah.
speak of that. The letter writer, I assume is a leader.
Okay.
You're in the center, and then here on the right you have the experience. You're holding the hand of the experienced
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
staff members. Here, your new members.
Yes.
Your new team. So there are times, when you hold hands, right? There are times when we are walking together.
Yeah.
But there are times when you are walking in front, they are behind you. There are
Yes.
times where the person on the right will be in front and we're just following. And there
Yeah.
are times when, but we are still together holding hands.
Yes.
You see? So it doesn't matter. There are certain situations where it requires us to be the one following or the one in front, but at the same time, we're still holding both hands, and they are still
Mm.
together with us.
Mm.
And I think it is also about building that professional learning community where we respect diverse perspectives, but we also motivate collective effort. So this is a collective effort.
Yeah. Yeah.
While they are different, they are all diverse, in their own way. It's an asset. It's an asset because at the end of it, this is what actually helped us to develop that shared vision,
Mm.
as a team.
Mm.
So I agree with you, Carlson. It's not about either or. It's about together. It's
Yes.
about we are together. It's not about either you or me, but we are holding hands
Mm.
because we
Mm.
are in one team. And I think how we are learning from each other's strengths and then how we can adapt. It's not about adopting, but adapting these practices collaboratively, so that everyone can share their best practices. Everyone can be having knowledge exchange without fear of being judged or being put down, and in that process, mutual respect,
Mm.
can be developed because the space is very safe for them.
Agree.
And I
Agree.
feel that, it is inclusive, that I feel belonged here. And I think that is what we want to create. And that
Okay.
has to be, you have to hold both hands. Yeah,
Nice.
it's not
Nice.
about, yeah. So tension, like you said, tension can be good,
Yeah.
but when we're holding hands,
Yeah.
that tension will just dissipate.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So I would like to see it's not as tension, but sometimes you're in front and I'm still holding your
Yes.
hand
Yes.
and
Yes.
we are
Yes.
all following together.
Yes.
So we take turns to be in front, or sometimes we are all on the same side, holding
Okay.
hands. Yeah, we can see that. Yeah.
Thanks. I like the analogy. Uh, so what we're telling the letter writer here, to recap, is that yeah, hold the hands, right? In this case,
Yeah.
I mean, not literally, but to understand that there are recognize the tension, recognize that they live in a room, and your role as a leader in this case is to celebrate the diversity by holding on both sides of the hands, on each one, right? And you are the so-called the connector, right, between this
Yeah.
generation. Yes, there are times when one will be in front, the other one will be back, but you're still holding their hand together in this case.
Mhm.
So it is not really about that's how we manage that tension in this case. And also we are recommending the letter writer to also recognize that it's important to create a safe space, right? When, for example, we talk about a brainstorming session for a project, to create a safe space, but not to frivolously create, but it's to be very deliberate about it, even up to the process. So when in that, for example, in that meeting itself, it's really about, first of all, addressing the parameters. Number one, to say that, hey, you know, we have got two groups here, and it is intentional that way. Why? Because we see there are strengths on both sides, and to call out those strengths, and then to be able to also address what is that shared objective, that bigger vision, to say the reason why we are both sides here is because we want to be able to leverage on both of your experiences and your uniqueness to be able to achieve this one shared objective, this big mission in this case. And this is how we are going to do it. The why must be clear, but how we're going to do it is where it is, there's no wrong answers. Let's get everybody on the board, just put everything there, and then see where we go from there in this case. So I think these are very practical steps and practical pointers for the letter writer to consider. And that's it. I think we're done.